Okay, welcome. Weekly roundup, Hart Investment Group. I'm Scott. That's Ben. And
Hello, everybody.
yeah, it's been a busy week, Ben. We've got a
Yeah.
lot happening. We're going to introduce a new team member as well. We're excited about that. What did you want to
Absolutely.
start with? Do you want to start with what happened last week, or should we bring Eva in right now, or what do you think?
I think we should probably bring Eva in to start with. We're excited to have her on board. She's been busy the last 2 weeks now, and so I think it'd be great to have her say a few things, maybe tell a little bit about her background, who she is, and we've had some clients already interact with Eva, of course, already. So certainly, I think that'd be the best place to start. So Eva, welcome. We're happy to have you. Maybe you can tell everyone about yourself.
Thank you, Ben. I'm excited to join Hart Investments. I'm Eva. I'm from Nigeria, new to Canada, just under a year. I came from a financial background. I was a portfolio manager in Nigeria for 8 years. Anyways, I'm excited to be here and I look forward to interacting with everybody.
That's perfect. Thank you. Yeah,
Wow.
so you'll start to see some emails. I've been CCing Eva into emails. She's been booking some meetings, starting to send money in and out. And yeah, if you need anything, feel free to reach out directly to her and introduce yourselves as well. So that's great. Thanks very much, Eva. Excited to have you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's great. Yeah, we're super excited to have Eva. Will allow us to free us up to do a lot of things, drive things forward, portfolios, customer service. We're fired up, so super excited to have her. All right,
Definitely.
well let's dip into what happened this past week and what we have coming up. So, what did you see in the markets this last week?
There's plenty going on in the markets, but I think from economic perspective in Canada, everyone seemed mostly focused on what the Bank of Canada was going to do and interest rates and CPI and GDP. So the economy continues to be the talk of I'd say the markets. The other part of that certainly would be the primaries are starting to happen in the U.S. So we've had we had New Hampshire last week where Trump and Haley had their first debate, and Trump has been steamrolling pretty much everybody in the Democratic or in the Republican race. And so it's down to just the two of them now, and everyone else has dropped out. And as they drop out, they support him. So DeSantis dropped out and supports Trump, and the others, as they drop out, they've been supporting him. So it looks like he is going to be the Republican candidate unless something crazy happens, like he goes to jail.
And that could very well happen. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a crazy world that we live in for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that caught your eye, or do you want to get right into the charts? You got some charts for us today?
Yeah, I got a few things to go through. Nothing else material, really. Market was chopping around this week. There was some GDP numbers that came out, and they were in line, I guess. The Bank of Canada sounded slightly, we'll say, hawkish from the perspective is they said, maybe we don't cut in March, but I think there's still a lot of runway between now and then around what happens. So I still think that's a high probability that we see a cut in March. But yeah, I'd say overall, pretty quiet week. And markets today were super quiet, plus or minus flat today, with the exception of a couple of things started to move, but nothing super material.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we roll on. What do you got for us in the charts today?
Charts.
See if we can figure out how to get them up here.
Mm-hmm. We are going to share. Did I share the right spots, or do you only see like, oh, you see that, I think.
Looks good to me.
that look okay like that, or do you see?
Looks great.
Okay, lovely.
You do see
Lovely.
you do actually see the next slide. So I don't know
Okay.
if you care about that. So it's not full screen.
All right, let's just do a switch there to what I'm sharing then. Just bear with me as we figure this out. I think that should be good now.
That's the one. Yep.
Okay, lovely, lovely. All right, well, a few slides. Continue to look through a lot of research. As you know, we have the annual outlook coming up next week. So we'll go through markets, macro, but we have one of our trust officers as well coming in to talk about trusts and estates, some of the pros and cons, power of attorneys. We unfortunately have had a number of estates in the last 6 months, so we're starting to see some of the potential issues that you could have with your estates and wills. So Chantal's going to come on and talk about that. And then we have Mark Connors from 3iQ giving us an update on a few things blockchain related as well. So, but as I rip through the research, try to pull out some interesting things as I go and grabbed a couple of things today. But, I think when we listen to the media, there's a big talk about how much money is on the sidelines still. And I think when you drill down and look at the actual numbers, there actually isn't a ton of cash on the sidelines. And so we get most of that money has been gone or spent. And so I don't think we have this huge influx of cash on the sidelines. Potentially in the asset managers space, the leverage is down a bit, but not materially so. So I think that's a bit of a fallacy, and it shows here just when we look at the numbers here. The other place that gets a lot of attention, I know certainly on the Canadian side of the border, we get lots of conversations with clients about real estate prices. This is a great chart that I grabbed from Morgan Stanley, talking about really where prices have fallen in the U.S. And again, the U.S. housing market appears robust, at least in the headlines I read. But when we look at it here, you get houses down roughly 17% from its highs, which is the worst sell-off since 2008 in housing in the U.S. And so just when we think about this kind of soft landing, everything's fine kind of mantra that Yellen and Powell are talking about, when you look at how the average person's doing in the United States, that's not necessarily the case. So look at the first slide, cash is down. This is part of why you've seen housing prices fall, and it's a major part of individuals' net worths in the US and in Canada as well. Love this one. Charlie Balilo. He does great charts and always something interesting he puts out each week. I love the stuff he puts out. But this one grabbed my eye because everyone likes to talk about currencies and which are the strongest, which are the best. And so if we look at global currencies, 10-year versus the US dollar, with the blue being the G20. It just shows you how those respective currencies have done versus the US dollar over the last 10 years. As you look at this, Scott, can you read this? Is it big enough? So
Yes.
just when, yeah. But this is probably surprising for most people. We look at even our Canadian dollar. If you're looking at our Canadian dollar over here, we've lost almost 20% of our purchasing power versus the US over the last 10 years. And so, there's this kind of feeling that if you listen to the amount of debt that the US has, the trillions of dollars, now they're paying $1 trillion in interest payments on their debt, which is 4x where they were 4 years ago. Yet almost every single major currency around the world, with the exception of the Swiss franc and the Armenian dram, are down versus the US dollar. And so it just shows you how much the reserve currency plays a major impact for how it does and how it behaves. It's not necessarily always going to be the case, but I thought this slide really jumped out and showed you how material the strength of the US dollar has been versus the rest of the currencies in the world.
That's a great chart.
Yeah. Last one, just want to talk briefly about this. I know we don't often talk about asset allocation and stocks, bonds, why we own the variable things. This is obviously a long-term chart since 1872, which maybe the data is not the best back then. But if we look over the last 100 years anyways, the drawdown we had in 2022 for balanced portfolios, one of the worst ones we've seen in 100 years. And so as we start to bounce back now, we've seen a bit of an uptick in bonds and stocks. And I think that the reminder is that there's still lots of opportunity there. And if we look at where bond yields are right now, I was looking at some of the corporate bonds that are out there today, 1-2 years out, and you can get a guaranteed 5% over the next couple of years. So starting at that level gives you and puts you in a much better place than you were 2.5 years ago. But it just shows you that balance works. It makes sense to have different assets and different holdings within the portfolio, and you start to see them starting to lift right now. But just shows you how material of a sell-off it is, and we're starting to bounce. We've seen a nice move, but there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity, specifically in the fixed income bond space. So that this was a cool look at it.
Right.
So that's it for the charts today. I kept it to 4.
That's got to be a record.
I think so.
Normally
I
you're
think so.
good. You're supposed to keep it to 3, but
I know.
I think we've expanded that to 5, so that's good. You're under quota.
Yeah, I think you gave me 3, or you tried to when we started. And
Yeah,
I think I maintained it for a couple weeks.
yeah. You've never hit it. It's your theme for the day.
Exactly.
Oh man. Okay. So what do we got? What are we looking ahead at? What are we looking forward to for next week?
So we have the FOMC next week, next Wednesday, and the annual presentation for us next Wednesday as well. So I wonder if more people are going to watch us or watch the U.S. Central Bank. What do you think?
They should watch us. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
They should.
they definitely should.
Yeah, no, so that'll be certainly what's going to be front and center in the economic world, and we're going to be prepping for that, and heading into the end of the first month of the year.
Yeah, that's crazy. Goes fast.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks. Take care.